Hello and welcome to a new video. Today I would like to show you the recent update that we've just done to our table widget, which makes working with multiple devices and even KPIs, inline table KPIs, more easy than before. I'm going to use this workspace. We have a couple of devices in here, a couple of CO2 devices, temperature, humidity, ambient light devices, and let's go ahead, create a new dashboard. Let's call this new table widget demo. Add the dashboard, and then you can go into edit mode and click on add widget. Let's search for the table widget. This is it. Click on it, and this adds the table widget. It starts with the configuration. As always, the table widget works with filters. So in here, it just basically shows all of the devices in the workspace, which is right now 7 devices, but we more or less just want the CO2 devices. And then you can either filter by tag, so you can assign tags to the devices, or you can work with the device name. And we can see that the 4 devices all contain the CO2 as a beginning, as a device name. So we work with the device name filter. This is a preview. It found 4 devices, and let's go ahead to configure the actual table. Next thing would be to click on columns. Now we can add a couple of columns. The first column is, for example, the device name. We have other metadata options like device name without a link, the online-offline status. Shortly, the difference between the link and not linked is just if you don't want to provide links on your public dashboard. Online status, let's start with that one. Add a new column, and we call this the device name linked. And then just to show you, there's a couple of other options: serial number, location, metadata, and so on. Now let's go ahead, and instead of now selecting the column type metadata, we select measurement. And the first thing we want to do is, the CO2 level. The unit is ppm, and then we add another one, a measurement, which is temperature. The unit is degrees Celsius. Add the column measurement and humidity. There you go, with a unit of percentage. Let's click on save for now, and you can see this is the table widget already added. It looks quite similar to before, to how it was looking before. Instead of that, now the pagination controls are only visible on hovering. It is a bit smaller in design because many of our customers requested the table widget to be a bit smaller. Let's go ahead in edit mode and click on appearance. Because we just basically don't want to make it just smaller, we have different kinds of layout sizes. I think that the medium one is actually the best for reading. For video purposes, I know switch and leave it to the large mode. Let's go ahead and let me show you what is really new for the table widget. So now let's go on the configuration and then columns again. And as soon as we get to the measurement column here option, we can see that there is time frame like always, but then there's now a footer operation. And now you can select the average, sum, minimum, maximum, count, and a count with threshold. Now let's first of all go to average, just leaving this here. And then on appearance, I need to switch on the footer. Save this. And now you can see the footer shows the average of the CO2 column of all devices in here. Once more, let's go into columns, and then let's go ahead for temperature. And for temperature, for example, I want to see the maximum temperature. And then for humidity, I want to see the count of devices that are above a certain threshold. So now I go into footer again, and then count with threshold. And the threshold value is, I want to know all of the devices that are above 60% in humidity, above or below, and then click on save. Now we can see, okay, the average ppm of CO2 is 472. The maximum temperature is 26.7. For humidity, we can see that there's 0 counts above 60. Now, what we've also done is we actually changed the support for Booleans. Now you can go ahead in columns and then add column, measurement again, and I need a Boolean field like, for example, the AQI alert. Just clicking on save, and this looks exactly how it was looking before. It was just true, false, without any colorization. Of course, you had conditional formatting, but this would be basically the whole solution. Now let's go on columns, and what you can do, you can actually override. This is an AQI alert, so we could have something like AQI alert on, and no alert at all, something like that. You can also use colors, and these colors, I want them as tags. And in here, this would be a red color, and this would be a green color. Maybe let's make it like a little bit more warning-like color. And we also have a footer operation for Booleans. We can count the count true and the count false. Let's click it on true and then save. And then we can see, okay, the AQI alert is AQI alert on. So you can put your own status messages in here, and then it shows you the count of AQI alerts on. For sure, what we've left in place is the conditional formatting. You could go ahead here, select CO2 if that is larger than, let's say less, because we don't have these high values here. If it's less than 800, everything is fine, and we don't change, or let's change the text color to green, and we just want to limit this to the current column. And we also want to apply this to the footer, actually. And now you can see that it is applied to the footer and then also to the various columns of each of the rows of the CO2 sensors. Now let's move on to the next demo. And for this demonstration, I'm going to use an old deactivated workspace that has still some old historical data. We can use it for demonstration, which is from our friends, Grandcentrics, rest in peace. And we can actually go ahead and create a new NOI table widget. Let's go ahead, click on Add Widget, and then again, let's search for Table Widget, select the Table Widget, and in here we have 5 devices. We just want these 4 devices, so now I'm going to use the search OG. Oh, this doesn't work because the KPI device is always in there. Let's leave it like it is. Or let me demonstrate how it would work with text. So let's go on Devices, and then let's select this one. Actions, add tag, and I apply the tag meter because these are all meters. Save this, tags are applied. Let's go back into the table widget. And now I go ahead, add widget, and select the table again. Now I have the energy tag in here. I am going to select the energy tag, and you can see it only returns the devices that have this tag assigned. I go ahead again into columns, add column, device, another column for measurement, and in here we are going to select, I think it's that one here. Yeah, the unit is kilowatt hours. The food operation now is sum. So now you can already see, wait a second, I'm going to switch the table size to large, save it, and now you can already see that we have just the pure meter values in here. For sure, you also need to switch on the footer. And now you can already see that this is the pure meter values, so the count of kilowatt hours from the energy meter, and this is the sum of all the meters. And while this is already great, what you usually want is you want to see the consumption over an hour, a period of time, or whatever. This works again by going into columns and then add column, and then actually we can go on measurements again, select the corresponding field, and then we select the time frame now. And instead of just going for the absolute total meter value, we are going to select the change. Absolute. And usually for 1 hour or for 24-hour energy consumption, you would do something like this. But as I've said, we just have historical values up until I think the end of 2024. We go 1st November 2024 up until 2nd November 2024. And then this will actually show us the kilowatts consumed within 1 day for these meters. And then on footer operation, we now do sum. Of course, this is kilowatt hours again, decimal places. We can leave it like it is. We can also do it just to 1, 0. Save it. And now you can see we have the sum. And the sum is actually the sum of the time-framed change for the 24 hours, and this is the total. We could extend it now to weekly, monthly overviews, and we can even compare them, all within the table widget, which helps you to create overviews for your energy consumption meters faster than it was ever before. Of course, we will deliver more KPI features using our semantics, but this is another additional step that we've done to improve the whole widget system of Datacake, and we think that the new table widget is actually super great and offers a lot of new features. If you have any other ideas for the table widget, I already heard from some customer that they want to have an export to Excel, for example. We are working on that. Any other feedback, send us over. Thanks for watching and stay tuned.